Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Talk about your scariest true stories here. I'll start. Be me. 7 years old. Live in a one-story house. It's a small house, but we live in a nice neighborhood. One day I'm in my backyard playing with my black lab puppy. It's going to rain soon, so I'm having fun while I can. Me and my pup get tired, so we go inside. It starts raining maybe 5 minutes later. After 20 minutes of a light drizzle, it starts pouring. There's thunder and lightning and the power's out. My living room is next to the front door. I'm sitting on the couch next to my mom. Suddenly, someone tries to get in the house. They are banging on the door and pulling the handle thing. My mom makes me run into her closet, incredibly worried. Fast forward to 3 hours later. Rain's gone. Mom tells me it's safe to go out. Apparently, she got her 9mm and opened the door. There was no one there. There was no way an inanimate object was banging on the door. I'll never forget that day.
Be me. Working a part-time job in college as a custodian, creepy-ass old private school. The lead custodian shows me around before he splits. Says some shit like, "Anyone tell you about what happened here? Oh, and just remember to shut off the lights and leave all the doors cracked just a bit. Yeah. The obligatory 'this place is haunted' story and yeah, you got it. I can do that." He responds, "Don't say I didn't tell you. I forget." He leaves and I get to work. I start on the top floor and plan to work my way to the first floor. Building was 3 floors. Basic stuff, sweeping, mopping floors, etc. Before I finish, I clean the bathroom on that floor. Get inside. Basically finished when I hear what sounds like people running in the hall. Figure some other custodian is trying to fuck with me, so I peek out to find nothing. Floor is even still wet. Meh. I think I work and go to school. I'm probably tired and am hearing shit. I move to floor 2. Same pattern, clean the classrooms, move to bathroom. Just as I'm finishing up, I hear the loudest slamming sound I have ever heard. I jolt to the door only to wuss out and just peek out. Everything is fine. I decided to check back upstairs and turn on the lights to find all the doors had been shut. Apparently all at once. I had left them open as well. Think to myself that it could be a draft or something, but I had specifically shut all the windows. I know I did. Anyways, I shut off the lights and go back. I go back to the second floor to continue to find wet footsteps leading to the back part of the hall. Opposite of direction I went. Basically leads to nothing as the hall ends. I don't bother investigating this. Around this point I'm pretty freaked out and contemplate leaving, but I need the job and the reference, so I'm stuck for now. I continue on remembering to shut off the lights and leave all the doors a bit open. Basically ground level now, nearly done. Cleaning the hall, I decide to start by the far end of this area and work my way to where the stairs are. As I'm mopping, I'm noticing the lights from upstairs turning on and shutting off one after another. So, for example, 3rd floor. On, off, 2nd on, off, alternating. I kinda just stood there in my spot for a bit thinking, I sure hope the lights don't cut off where I am, and as soon as I could even have that fear in my head, it happened. I ran for the nearest window and just stood there in the moonlight safe haven it provided. And just like that, the lights were back on. I finished my work and book it. I worked here for about a year. Shit like this was common.
B10. Live in the country. Get cool walkie-talkies for my birthday. Me and my cousin, who is 8, Do dumb spy shit with them outside all day into the night. Go into the cornfield at night to do spy versus spy. Use walkie-talkies about an hour into the night. Basically pitch black and silent beyond hearing my cousin move through the cornfield away from me. Radio crackles. A voice I don't recognize begins to talk on walkie-talkie. Starts to tell us to come outside the cornfield and to the roadside. Tells us he has cool spy gear he wants to show us that we can use. Cousin wants to go, and I beg him not to. Hear my cousin move through the cornfield towards the road. Rush to grab him. Force my cousin to go the opposite way towards our house. Person on walkie-talkie keeps telling us to come to the truck on the road to play with real spy stuff.
Not really a very scary story, but it's the only story I have. So a bit of backstory. I am very phasmophobic. I pretty much just freak the fuck out completely irrationally at the suggestion of a ghost. I will not go near places that are supposed to be haunted at all. Okay, now for the story. I got my first job. It was a shitty call center job. The office staff there keep talking about spooky goings-on in the office. It's all basic stuff like pieces of documents going missing. Things moving around on their own when no one's around. I don't listen to them and ignore them mostly. Pretty sure a lot of them are just making stuff up. It's a well-lit office in the middle of the day with a lot of people around, so I wasn't freaking out about it. Sometimes when I am in the staff room alone, I get paranoid and have to leave. Everything was golden till a few months passed and I was put on the night shift. Oh, the dreaded night shift. I am pretty sure the guys on the night shift were trying to scare me on my first night, telling me all kinds of stories of seeing handprints on the windows, seeing shadowy figures in the hallways. I am 100% certain they are full of shit, but my brain is full of irrationality and shit. This whole ghost thing isn't helped by the hall light which keeps flipping on randomly throughout the night. The thing's on a motion sensor that must have been on the fritz, or the office had rats or something setting it off. But the first night passed uneventfully. So flash forward a few weeks. At this point I am comfortable being on the night shift with a couple of the other guys. This night was different, though I got a text off my manager saying I would be manning the phones alone tonight. There are usually at least 2 of us in the office overnight. The other guy who was on shift had called in sick, so I was doing the phones alone. Being just out of the training phase of my work, I was keen to prove myself alone. The thoughts of the ghost were completely out of my head. I show up before the late evening staff leave. As soon as they leave, all of the thoughts of the ghost come back to me. I get to like an hour into the shift sitting alone in the office in dead silence apart from the occasional call. I am twitching at every sound, slowly getting more and more anxious. Then out of the corner of my eye, I see the hallway light flash on. I swear I see a shadow in the hallway. At this point, all my rational thought is out of the window. I stand to run as I see the shadow. I have a wheelie office chair, and when I try to run and stand, the chair flies away from me, causing me to fall forward into my desk. I knocked over the monitor, and the keyboard got dragged onto the floor. My nope response is not stopped by the head injury, and I stand up, turn around and run straight into the desk behind me. This knocks over a bunch of monitors and scatters more office chairs. I then manage to run into and knock over a filing cabinet to block the path of a ghost. Not sure why I did this, it made sense at the time. So at this point, the next thing I know, I have run at least 500 meters away from the office. At this point, I have stopped running and am looking back at the office, but I am still terrified. I try to work up the confidence to go back inside. Every time I get closer to the door, I look into the black hallway through the window, and I start to nope all over again. At this point, I justify it to myself as this job isn't worth being murdered by a ghost, so I just drove home. Leaving the office unlocked, the phones ringing and my mobile at my desk, but at least a ghost didn't kill me. So the next day when I got to work, I got called into the manager's office. He tells me the people coming in for the day shift in the morning found the door unlocked, the office empty, and with stuff scattered everywhere. So at this point, my genius plan was to tell him the ghost threw the stuff around the room, and when that happened, I ran. But then he showed me the video off the security cameras of me freaking the fuck out, knocking over everything and running away. Apparently, a ghost isn't a valid excuse for destroying your office, then running away. Needless to say, I was fired. Also, I saw no ghost in the security footage. I still tell people it was the ghost who destroyed the office.
Context. I was living in a trailer with my dad and 3 siblings. The trailer was near the back of the trailer park on a dead-end street and right next to the woods. Be about 12. It's about 8 or 9 p.m. Me and my siblings are chilling at home alone watching TV. The street light is always turning off because this neighborhood kinda sucks. We forgot to turn on the porch light, so it's pitch black out there. My brother is the oldest, so he decides it's time for bed and turns the TV off. We hear someone storm up the rickety steps to the front door and start banging on the screen door. We all panicked, but we were sorta trained for this. We duck low and make our way to the kitchen to hide behind the large table. We all grab knives. We wait there as whoever is out there savages our screen door. They finally rip the screen door open and start banging on the front door. I hear the distinctive sound of my dad's motorcycle coming down the road. There's 2 windows facing the front yard next to the door. When my dad pulls up, light shines through onto the wall behind us, and the banging immediately stops. The way he pulled in should have shone the light on the attacker, but there was no shadow. We wait in silence, expecting to hear a scuffle. Dad kills the motor, walks up the stairs, and opens the door. He even has a bit of trouble opening the screen door because it sticks sometimes. My brother looks out to make sure it's Dad. It is. We all come out and run to him. He's confused as to why we're so freaked out, and we tell him what happened. He says he didn't see anyone, and the screen door was closed when he pulled up.
Be me. Be sheriff's deputy. Rural Arizona driving on a desert road. About 3 a.m., windows down, driving slow. Tired as hell. JPG. Suddenly eyes catch something, run past headlights. Totally black object. Think it was a person? Wide awake at this point, got curious. Spin vehicle in pursuit. Object running extremely fast. Then suddenly it stops, abruptly. Brights and spotlight on him. I radio it in and step out. I call out asking if everything is okay. No response. Hey, partner. Not even a budge back, still facing me. At this point, I am spooked and alone in the desert. Fuck this. Get in the patrol cruiser and shut the door. Look up and he's gone. What the fuck? Look all over and nothing. Turn the cruiser around and there he is, facing me this time. At least I think he was. Where his face should be was just skin. No face at all. What happens next, I will never forget. All of a sudden, he starts sprinting at my unit. Time to go. Throw the cruiser in reverse, spin around, and I'm gone. I hop on the radio, freaking out and telling my backup to stay away from the area, and I'd explain later. Never found out what that was, told my native friend, and he changed the subject.
When I was around 5, I used to be terrified to go to the upstairs bathroom at night because I'd see hands coming around the door frame trying to grab me from the dark. Dozens of them getting closer until I'd nope and run back to bed. The bathroom itself always just had this horrible, oppressive feeling to it, like I shouldn't be in there. I'd wake up Mum and get her to watch me from the bed as I ran to the toilet in absolute terror. During the day, I wouldn't go anywhere near it. Many years later, my sister and I were talking about that old house and the weird things that went down there. I mentioned the upstairs bathroom and how horrible it felt in there. Then she sent chills down my spine when she said, "Oh my God, the hands." I used to see hands coming from around the door trying to grab me at night, so I never went in there. Same house. When I was around 7, I came home one day with a friend from across the street. Nobody was home, so I told him to hang by the bottom of the stairs while I went into the kitchen. I came back and we went upstairs, him 10 feet in front of me. As we got to the top of the stairs, he turned right, froze, went, "You are," and then turned towards me and literally tried to jump down the flight of stairs. He hit me, or I caught him. We both went down on our butts and slid the length of the stairs, landing at the bottom. I'm asking, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" He then jumped up and ran screaming from the house. He ran into the road and was almost hit by his father, who was pulling into his driveway. His dad gets out of the car. "What the fuck is going on here?" and sends the kid home crying. The kid only ever spoke to me once after that day. His parents basically told me to fuck off. He told me that when he turned at the top of the stairs, he saw my sister dressed as an old woman coming out of a wardrobe, and that she ran towards him, which is why he ran screaming. He said I'd pranked him and that he'd got in trouble and wasn't allowed to hang around with me anymore, etc. My sister wasn't home. Nobody was. Same house. One afternoon, my 2 older teen brothers were upstairs with a handful of friends, and my sister, who wasn't really meant to be up there since they were smoking, swearing, etc. Suddenly, 10 people come barreling down the stairs and one by one out of the front door, saying a polite bye to my mum as they seemingly ran for their lives. Last comes my 2 brothers and sister, white as sheets, and my sister crying, so Mum asks what's going on. Apparently, in front of everybody in the room, a book had lifted up from the floor by itself, flew across the room, and hit my sister square in the face. They all saw it, looked at each other, shat their pants, and ran for the hills. Their friends refused to come back to the house for a while after that. I had many friends that wouldn't come in, or did once or twice, then refused to return after seeing some shit. My sister was attacked twice. Friends were attacked. Growing up with it, it was just normal.
Napping on my couch after a fun weekend. Actually playing hooky from work as I can work from home. Sleepy because I had been partying and drinking all weekend. TV on. Laying on my back. Wake up. Woman who looks like death is floating over me. See TV flickering out of the corner of my eye. Hear nothing. Can't move. The woman reaches down and touches my chest. I can't move, even though I am trying to with all my might. I start to scream at her. I hear nothing. Only my weak ability to gasp at air, even though I have never tried to be louder. I still can't move under my own power. But I feel like I am moving. Not in a normal human way, but like a jackhammer is pounding on my chest. Vibrations get more intense. I wonder if there is an earthquake. I scream, "Move, you fucker, god damn it, move." Try to punch feminine death who is on me. Hand raises about as slowly as humanly possible. Snap back and sit up. I realize I'm sitting on my couch and everything is normal. The TV had the volume on the whole time, even though I couldn't hear it. In retrospect, it was probably sleep paralysis. The vibrations still make me wonder if I had a seizure, but I have never heard anyone else describe one like that. Anyways, it scared the shit out of me.
Get asked to house, sit with a bro. Family were house sitting for their own 3 businesses. Have to gather and drop off money each day to the businesses. Days are boring. We mostly just lounge around shitposting, drinking, and watching Sports Center 2 or 3 times. One night friend wakes me up. A car is parked at the end of the driveway, and someone is pointing a flashlight at the house. Eventually, the person gets in the car and leaves. In the next couple days, nothing happens. Go to get money from businesses one night. Getting money from the second store. The car pulls up. Friend tells me it's probably a drunk wanting late-night food. Here, friend starting to lose his shit. The man standing at the front door with one of those huge security flashlights and a cow or horse pelvis covering his face. Call the cops. He eventually gets in his car and leaves. Have to show cops tape for them to believe us.
Be me. In the middle of summer, nice weather. Me and my buddies decide to go to this abandoned slaughterhouse near me. Only way in is through a field owned by gypsies. Then you have to climb up a hill to get into it proper. We went in. The place was empty as expected. First building is a big-ass warehouse. It's pretty much a husk, burn marks, and knocked-out windows. We go inside. There are 2 massive piles of sand that reach up to the roof and a small office-like structure. Chair surrounded by burnt books in the middle. Not too spoopy, we go into the office, check it out, and there's nothing in there but a bunch of shit-tier Satanist graffiti. When we're coming down, notice a locked metal door. Decide to come back to it later because we still hadn't checked out the slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse is creepy. Bloody meat hooks and dried blood all over the place. Hasn't been used in years, see more Satanist graffiti. Mildly spoopier than before, keep exploring and notice there's a ton of asbestos. Tie shirt around mouth for safety. Go back to the locked door, try kicking it in with friends, no dice. We keep going until it caves in. Smashed mirror right across from us, everything else is black. It's a bathroom. Go in, cubicles are huge. Can't even see to the end of them. Get a chill all of a sudden. Something screams at us. Nah, mate, I'm fucking gone, fuck this. We sprint out, there's clattering coming from behind us. There was nobody in there, we would have known. Get over the hill, run to the other side, out of breath. Friends still don't like talking about it to this day.
Got to love me some paranormal stories even though I'm not the biggest believer in it. But I got this one story that happened to me personally, in like 2023-ish. So I was home alone as my dad and sisters were out town shopping. It was around 9 p.m. when my sister called and asked me to prepare some sandwiches for my dad, as he was gonna head out to work as soon as they arrived. So I was in the kitchen, making the sandwiches, and on the right of me was the fridge. Next to it, a cabinet. And next to it facing me was a door to this storage room, and room that had stairs going to the basement and attic. And there was another door where you could access the space from outside. But only if you had an old key, which was kept away, and it was the only way to access it, as it did not have a door handle outside. So I was making the sandwiches, and suddenly hear the door outside open, and someone hitting their shoes on the concrete to get rid of the snow on their boots, and then walking the stairs to the attic. As soon as I heard that, I noped the fuck out of the house and called my sister. We swept the whole house without any result. So the night goes on without any shit happening, but in the morning, my dad comes to my room, bit angry, asking why the door outside was open, and to this day I still don't know who opened it, as my sisters went out to party, and I was the only person in the house that night. I think that's my only experience with the paranormal. Still a bit spoopy.
Lived in a house number 13 growing up. Before me or my sister were born, my parents would hear banging on the bedroom door at night, cold spots, odd smells. My sister was born, then me 2 years later. My sister used to sit up speaking to the girl at the end of her bed, which freaked everyone out. Odd things happened, like parents asleep woken up to someone hammering on their bedroom door. My dad checks and the house is empty. My uncle, who was staying at the time and who they thought it was out. As we got older, more stuff happened. You know, the sound of the floorboards in your house and the stairs. You can tell where someone is walking. I'm sitting downstairs, probably around 13, and both me and my mum are eating breakfast. We hear my sister get up, walk across her room above us, and start to walk downstairs. We can see the stairs from where we are, and no one comes. We both go upstairs, and sister is fast asleep in bed. Fast forward to me 16, sister 18. She has a baby. We live in the same house, loads of spooky noises, etc. Then one day, when the baby is asleep in the cot upstairs, too young to climb, roll, etc., we hear a big bang from downstairs. We all run upstairs quickly, go into the room where the cot is empty, and the baby is fast asleep on the floor, with a clothes maiden leaning over her, resting on the cot. That was the bang. No explanation ever found. Our house was featured in a local ghost book by an author known in the area. Years later, I worked with a girl from Australia whose family had moved to the UK. When swapping stories, she told me how her house was haunted and her 2 guests wouldn't go into the back bedroom. When she said her house was featured in a ghost book, we realized they had moved into our old house, and the back bedroom was my sister's old room. Still remember it, and still can't explain things that happened in the house. Thanks for reading.
Living in a large old house in Berkeley, California, bunch of roommates. During the summer, the UC Berkeley roommates would leave for home. Me and my hear exactly what you described over the course of the whole summer. Freaks me and my buddy out as we are the only ones there for the summer. Around the second time it happened, I walked out of the room to see what it is. Sound stops and nothing is there. Return to room, friend asks what the fuck was out there. Tell him it was nothing. Sound starts up just as I say that. It would run up and down the stairs several times, then randomly walk across the hall to our room and stop at the door. It would then return to the stairs. We called him our running man roommate. It was all fun and games until the running man threw a couch down the stairs. One night I was pretty drunk. This was around the 7th or 8th time of the running man antics. I decided I'm gonna be brave and fuck with this, whatever it was. As it makes its way to my door, as it always did randomly, I shout, "Come in here, open the door, running bitch." My friend was sober and shot me a glare. Then bam, a large thud on our room's door like it got punched. My friend whispered, "Dude, don't fucking piss off a ghost." Me, being drunk and cocky, decided to punch our side of the door. The footsteps run from the door. I'm feeling proud, shouting, "I taught that ghost bitch a lesson." Suddenly we hear what sounds like nails on a chalkboard. Friend is like, "What the fuck?" Too drunk, decide to keep egging it on. Suddenly this loud crash from downstairs. Friend is freaking out. Still feeling brave, I open the door and walk into the pitch-black hallway. Turn on lights and peer down to the house's entryway. Fucking couch upside down, tossed downstairs. Run back to the room, look at my roommate and say, "So, the couch is downstairs." He turns pale as a sheet. "What the fuck do you mean?" he asks. I respond sort of nervously, giggling, "Running Man tossed the couch downstairs." Running Man goes back to running. Friend is far too scared to look, and so am I. That feel when we are both in our mid-20s. Next morning, sure enough, it's still down there. Takes both of us to bring it back to its location. Don't piss off a ghost.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.